Hey folks, so I'm going to go ahead and throw this together, just a quick presentation that we're going to make a little bit more formal in the future. But this has become not urgent, but something that I want to kind of jump into a little bit faster because there's a lot of people that are really good candidate for what we call like a fast mimicking diet. And I just want to kind of get this information out there so a number of you can begin to consider what this means for you. And I just want to support y'all as y'all go into something that at least just considering something that really may be a powerful tool to helping you see the kind of results that you want to see and need to see in some ways and deserve to see, most importantly. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into what we call like a fast mimicking diet. What is fasting? Why is it something that you should consider? I mean, I do think everyone should consider fasting. Not that everyone has to, but and then how it could benefit you. So what's the problem? The problem in our currently, the problem that most people have when they come to work with us is insulin resistance. I talk about it all the time. Insulin resistance, heart disease, there's a lot of overlap there. These are diseases of abundance, and primarily it's an abundance of sugar. You know, we're eating all the time, we're eating sugar all the time. It's breaking down our hormones. Our bodies are no longer good at distributing our energy to be healthy. We become chronically inflamed and we begin accumulating fat around our midsection, oftentimes around our organs, and it begins to perpetuate the dysfunction. Also, many of you have heard of fatty liver. You may not have been told that you have fatty liver, but most people have it. There's also fatty pancreas. Fatty pancreas is just fat accumulating around the pancreas, which makes you dysfunctional with how you produce your insulin and manage your sugar and distribute your fat. So all that kind of stuff looks similar and works together. So think of these diseases: diabetes, heart disease, whether you've got plaques accumulating in your arteries or you've got sugar accumulating in your bloodstream. Think of this as like you're in a flood of energy. Think of your body as a house that's in a flood. It's got a pipe burst and the walls are swelling and your floor is flooded. You got two options. You can get mops, buckets, vacuums, fans. You can get a whole team of people that manage water to try to get all the water out. And you can think of those mops, buckets, and vacuums as metformin, a statin, injecting insulin. You know, all the meds, blood pressure meds. You know, all those meds that you're on are really just managing the flooding of the house that is your body. So you could take that strategy, or you could just turn the water off. If you've got too much water, if your house is flooding, or if you've got too much sugar and your body is breaking down under that, what if you just shut the water off? So most people, we begin shutting the water off by putting you on a ketogenic diet. We pull out all the carbs, starches, and sugars, and it eliminates the inflammatory factors, and a lot of your numbers begin to improve. But the alternative is to take it a step farther and abstain from food altogether. And sometimes this is a great strategy. Sometimes it's not. It's not quite ready. So we'll kind of talk about when it's a great strategy and when it's not. But the basic principle of, if you're in a disease of abundance, what if you just cut it off and let your body recover? So what is fasting? You could do an hour presentation just defining the different types, but you've heard of intermittent fasting probably, which is where you break your day into daily windows. So like, people call it like a 12-12 or a 24, where you have 12 hours of feeding or 12 hours of fasting. And then, usually it's actually fast window, feed window. So usually you'll hear of like a 16-8, 16 hours of fasting, and then 8 hours in the day you can eat. And then you could do a ketogenic 16-8, or you could do a fast food 16-8. It just means you're fasting and then you're eating. And then I call fasting any abstinence of food over like 24 hours. So usually that is just water or sometimes bone broth. And we've actually historically at Vital Signs and even within Trinity practiced fasting pretty frequently. We've done as many as 3 to 5 day fasts. And then I've had people go all the way up to 7 or 9 day fasts. Who's a good candidate to fast? And you'll notice there's a third type of fasting that I didn't mention. Who's a candidate to fast? Someone who's got sufficient caloric intake That's just a critical prerequisite. If you're one of those people that it's what we call metabolically adapted, where you're eating really, really few amounts of calories, your fast really might not benefit you because your body's already maybe kind of in that starvation mode. You actually, most people are going to need to be refueled before they're a really good candidate to fast. But if you've got sufficient calorie intake, if you're insulin resistant, fatty liver, heart disease, if you struggle with inflammation, or if there's any kind of cognitive decline that you've undergone. So what are the benefits of fasting? Well, fasting cannibalizes organ fat first. So the energy that you use when you fast you transition to using fat for energy. And the first fat you use is like the fat around your liver. Um, Diabetics have been shown to get off insulin during a fast, like literally in the first day of a fast. Diabetics who are dosing insulin, type 2 diabetics dosing insulin, get off and can stay off. Um, your body just completely starts to burn fat for fuel. It gives your digestive system a rest. So a lot of times fasting can help people restore a good gut. There's cellular regenerative properties with fasting. Inflammation significantly decreases because inflammation is sort of a growth response. When you're fasting, you're kind of purging all growth. And most people actually have a really good experience. Um, Let me just show you a couple. There's a lot of research that I could show, but um, this is sort of actually on the specific fast mimic that I'm going to talk about soon. But periodic fasting has been shown to reprogram pancreatic cells and restore insulin production. So that's for people who have been type 2 diabetic for so long that their pancreas is beginning to break down. Back. Fast promotes beta cell regeneration. So the same thing with that's the beta cells are what produces insulin at your pancreas. Um, Risk factors for aging, diabetes, cancer, cardiovascular disease. Cancer cells actually love sugar. So if you take out the sugar in like a ketogenic diet, cancer cells can shrink. If you take out all food or the vast majority of food with fasting, those cancer cells will shrink as well. And then this is one of the studies that I mentioned that shows that that the fat around the liver was the first fat to be taken down when people went to fast. Okay, so we talked about the benefits of fasting. Now, and then here's where it gets interesting. I've said we've practiced fasting 3 to 5 days with patients for a long time. There isn't really much documented risk in the scientific literature, but we've seen people just like have issues with gallbladder or digestion, or maybe like kind of at the end of the fast they develop a sustained diarrhea. Um, so that's definitely a minority. But if it's 2 out of 100 people, and you can find a way where there's 0 out of 100 people having any risks, then let's take that way, right? So the safer way to fast, the fast mimic diet, which has been developed by a gentleman named Walter Longo, he's got a lot of great contributions, and some of the things that he says I don't think are as rooted in science or as anyways, he's like all people. He's got some great things and some things that I maybe would scratch my head about. But he's developed basically just a very low calorie, like a 5-day period, and he studied it pretty extensively. But a 5-day period where you transition to a very, very low calorie eating strategy, and it triggers the same fasting pathways, but it doesn't completely shut down your metabolism and digestion in the same way that fasting does. So it's not quite as maybe intense on the body, but you still get some of the same benefits. And we've practiced this with patients as well, and people have a pretty good experience, even though their hunger is actually a little bit more intense on a fast mimic. Usually, if people just do a total food abstinence, their hunger almost goes away completely. With this, you eat just enough maybe to kind of whet your body's appetite. So it can maybe be a little bit uncomfortable, more uncomfortable than just a total food abstention. So our protocol is 5 days of 600 to 800 calories. I'm going to attach a meal plan to this that can show you kind of exactly what you can eat, and it's got all the macros planned out. It's mostly fat, very moderate in protein, and then it's low carb, because you don't want to give yourself a hit of sugar just in the middle of being a fat burning machine over a 5-day period. If you just like throw some sugar in, it's just kind of a weird thing to do to your metabolism. So this is a great time to buy organic, get really high quality foods. You're not going to be eating that much of it. So you might as well put, this would be the worst time, absolutely the worst time to just eat like some fries, deep fried in canola oil. um, give yourself some good quality foods. I would suggest eating at night. When your digestive system goes dormant and then you wake it up, you're probably going to find yourself tired after you eat. So go ahead and eat for dinner, and if you're tired, go to bed. Monitor your hunger. I'd like to just get some feedback on like how hungry you find yourself. People are different. Dr. Pardue just did a 5-day fast mimic. He found himself pretty hungry, but I've had also some people say they were only hungry right after they ate. This is a great time to just focus on mindfulness and direct your thoughts to. You're going to have less time where you're making food. You're going to have more time in your day to do other things. So, this is a great time to go for a walk and to just be mindful and grateful. The week after you fast, if you're tracking your macros, I'm going to put you into a 20% deficit compared to. So, say you're at 2,000 calories. And then you fast, I'll return you to 1,500 calories, and we'll see how that we'll see how after you fast, and we'll just see how your body responds to that. Final considerations: you're going to lose probably a good amount of weight during this fast. Don't worry, when you go back to food, you're going to gain a lot of that weight back. That's totally normal. Don't get addicted to the weight loss that comes, and don't think, well, hey, if I fasted for 5 days and lost 10 pounds, if I fasted for 50 days, I would lose 100 pounds. That's not really how it works. The primary benefit from fasting isn't just weight loss; it's all the other metabolic things that I've kind of touched. It's okay to discontinue the fast. You don't have to do it all 5 days. I would encourage you to consider sticking to it, because I think you can do it, because most people can do it. If people struggle with it, usually they have like one bad day, but then after that, their body kind of recovers. So it's okay to discontinue. If you are on medication, you're definitely going to need to consult your physician about meds. Metformin is something that you'd want to discontinue. If you're on insulin, that's something you're definitely going to need to monitor. Don't go into this before you get some answers on that. And then the last thing I'd say is all cultures in human history promote some kind of fasting except the developed Western world. All religious faiths, whether you're Buddhist, um, um, the Jewish faith has got fast built in. Muslim faith has Ramadan. The Christian faith has Lent. Even secular humanists have practiced fasting. We're really the only people that don't. So we've gotten people that scratch their heads at us and say, like, you guys promote fasting? It's like, well, to people that are good candidates for it, yes. And we're the crazy ones, but really, the people that don't fast, historically considered, are the ones that are a little bit weird. I've fasted myself. All of our coaches practice fasting to some degree, whether it's for metabolic reasons or personal spiritual reasons. I think there's just a lot of good wisdom and research to promote it. So finally, just be grateful to yourself. You're going to find that your mind goes different places when you remove food. You're going to find a new love for foods that you didn't even know you were going to miss. And hopefully this is a time where you kind of become more grateful, and you're doing something great for your body. You're doing something that's a little bit of a challenge, but it's a good challenge. And I want to support you through that and help you make the right decision for yourself. So we are going to have a call today. If this video makes it after May 14th of 2021, this isn't relevant to you, but today we're going to do a call at 4 o'clock, 4 to 4:30 Eastern time, to kind of make this a little bit more specific and individualized to those that are considering this in the next month or so. So hope to see you soon. If you got any questions, shoot me an email or join that call, and we'll be in touch.